Week 7 focuses on writing a phonics word study lesson plan and also your rough draft of your analysis paper. Please remember, it is a rough draft. We know phonics and word study can be taught in isolation. However, they're more powerful when taught across the curriculum through picture books, poetry, during shared reading and guided reading, with literature circles, in connection with writing, and through the content areas, social studies and science and math. In other words, we can talk about words throughout our instruction all day. Planning instruction for phonics and word study lessons begins by using what students know and developing a lesson format in many contexts. So, we want our instruction to extend and refine our students' ability to use language by exposing them to engaging content. This is accomplished by presenting mini lessons which help students learn about the meaning and structure of words. These mini lessons are direct teaching about how words look, sound, and what they mean. We can also give students opportunities to encounter and notice words in meaningful contexts and to apply what they know about words as they read and write for real purposes. Word solving is a complex process and involves decoding as well as taking in many layers of meaning. So to begin planning, I must know clearly what it is that I want to teach. Rather than thinking I just want to teach a bunch of words, I teach a principle that students can apply to other words. So, where do I start? I'm going to look at the data from the assessments that I have given in this class. I have selected to specifically look at the spelling inventory for Vinny. Bear with me, I'm sorry. Here we go. Here is his feature guide. This data clearly shows that he understands initial and final consonants, as he got them all correct. Short vowels and digraphs were all correct. Blends were also correct. However, when Vinny gets to long vowel patterns, there were several that he did not know. The ones that he knew were the OE, IE, and AE. So I know I'm going to start with long vowel patterns. So let me walk you through the lesson plan I created for Vinny. And I created it on vowel teams. He has some knowledge of long vowel patterns, but his vowel teams he was not aware of. So now I want to go to the lesson plan I created. Please note that in the header, I put this is a one-to-one student to teacher tutor session, and some areas of this plan are not applicable for this one-to-one setting. I did that because this is going to go on your anthology portfolio. And we know that this plan was a one-to-one tutor session, but whoever looks at your anthology portfolio will not know that. So please include that in the heading. The sections of the lesson plan all fit together like a puzzle. As I am going through Vinny's plan, notice how all pieces of the plan are linked back to the learning outcomes. So first, I have my essential understanding. The central focus of this lesson is to know the spelling sound correspondence for the AI and the EA vowel teams. So my principle is some long vowel sounds are represented by two vowels side by side in a word that make one sound. That is in kid-friendly language. It says the same thing as my essential understanding, but in kid language. My learning outcome is measurable. The student will independently build and read 5 AI and 5 EA vowel team words with 100% accuracy. I go to the standards. Here is my reading foundational standard for 2nd grade that I'm going to be using in this lesson. What academic language does Vinny need to know, and where did I find the definition for that term? Well, vowel is going to be needed, and I used the Collins Dictionary. Consonant, vowel team. Now the language demand. That is how your students will use, need, or practice the following language skills during the lesson. How are they going to practice listening, reading, writing, and speaking? The second part of the language demand is how will you incorporate the academic language terms within your lesson? Well, the students will need to know that each word consists of consonants and a vowel team. So in the beginning of the lesson, I'm going to be using the academic terms consonant and vowels when reviewing before and after the video. Also, when modeling, building a word for the student, I will use those same terms. As the students then are using the magnetic letter tiles, I expect to hear the academic language being used by the students. I really didn't use technology in this lesson other than the video because I feel it's important for the students to manipulate the magnetic letter tiles, the MLTs, to form words, then write the words, and then read the words. My context for learning. I know that I have said that you should include this in your lesson, and if you were working ahead and you have it in there, that's perfectly fine. I did not include it because this, again, is a one-on-one tutor session. Vinny is an underperforming student, so I filled in that section. And I just explained in the other sections that there were no students in this tutor session that had IEPs or that were needing more of a challenge or were ELLs. The assessments. Those need to link also back to those measurable learning outcomes. My pre-assessment was the primary spelling inventory. The formative assessment that I will be using are anecdotal notes and an exit slip. And as the student is working, I'm going to notice, is this an easy task for him? Is it difficult? What is the tricky part? The exit slip, Vinny will need to write at least one thing learned in this session today. Hopefully he's going to write a vowel team is two vowels side by side in a word that makes one sound. He's going to be receiving feedback in our next tutor session about his exit slip. And how will I use this data to plan future lessons? If he's able to tell what he learned in this session, then we'll move on to more vowel teams. If he's unable to tell me one thing, then we're going to review this. The summative assessment is a one-on-one assessment, and I will have magnetic letter tiles available for the student to build dictated AI and EA words. The student will independently build and read 5 AI and 5 EA vowel team words with 100% accuracy, which that is my measurable learning outcome. When am I going to do this? During my next tutor session, and he will receive immediate feedback after the assessment. And again, if he understands it, we'll move on. If not, I will reteach it in a different way. How am I going to assess the academic language and language demand? By having the student build the various words, I'm going to be able to see how well he understands the academic terms of consonant, vowel, and vowel teams. Okay, the next part is the step-by-step instruction of my plan. I have my hook. How am I going to get his attention? The main body of the lesson, which is building words with intact letter patterns, which is on page 158 of our word identification strategies text. And I'm specifically laying this out step by step. What am I going to do to close this lesson? So if a substitute or someone who really doesn't have a strong teaching background, they could read this and figure out what is going to happen in the lesson. I have all of my teaching materials listed, all of the student materials listed. Again, the environment of the room is somewhat different because it's a one-on-one setting, and I explain that in each section. I've included the references and research I did planning this lesson. Here's the link to the learning standards on the ODE website. And then I link it to college and career readiness. As you are working on your plan, if you have questions, please ask me before you submit it. I look forward to reading your plans. And as I said, if you have questions, please ask. Thank you.